Hi BookTube, it's Amy. You're going to have to bear with me today. It's absolutely boiling in here, so I've got the window open, which means you might be able to hear the pleasant, soothing sound of rain tonight. So this is my Friday Reads, and you might recall from my last Friday Reads that I had started reading a W. Somerset Maugham novel titled Of Human Bondage, and that at the time I was really enjoying it. Now, it's actually bigger than it looks. It took me almost the entire week to get through it. It's 700 pages, and I was reading at quite a leisurely pace and quite enjoying it. So I didn't actually finish it until last night, and I am itching to talk about it. But I've decided I don't want to just cover it in a Friday Reads. I want to film a separate video to discuss it because it had that much of an impact on me. I'm discovering that I really like the author's writing style. I really like the subject matter that he explores, as in The Razor's Edge, and also in The Painted Veil, I suppose. There is a lot of discussion about, the nature of morality, and this one in The Razor's Edge, discussion about the nature of what it is to exist, what it is to be human, about religion, about the meaning of life, about how to live your life. And just for me, I find that something extremely fascinating. And, there's a character in there, Mildred, who is absolutely atrocious to our main character, Philip, and yet, he keeps going back to her. And that in itself is interesting and says a lot about his character. But I'll stop yapping about that now, because as I said, I want to do a separate video just for that one. Now, I did start reading another book today, and it's actually got two novellas in it. So I read the first novella, and that is François Sagan's Beaujour Triste, or Triste, Beaujour Triste, I think that might be how it's pronounced. It is a French novel, and let me just jump in here. And yep, I've got the translator for you. Michael would be very disappointed if I forgot the translator here, but it was translated by Heather Lloyd. And it also has an introduction by Rachel Cusk, which I did not read because there is actually, a warning that it contains spoilers, which it's nice to see that warning in an introduction, because often introductions seem to assume that you've already read the book. I don't know, I feel like if you're going to have spoilers, it should be an afterword. So you're reading it last rather than first, because you should always assume that when you're opening the first page of a book, you are indeed on the first page, and you have not read this before. But this was a little bit of a creepy and chilling novella, but also very interesting and very exciting to read. So it is about a young woman, a girl by the name of Cecile. She is 17 when the novella opens. And she is, well, it's hard to say how old she is because she is narrating, in past tense, saying, this is the summer when I was 17, and my father and I went to a beach house, and he brought his mistress, I believe the mistress's name is Elise. He brought his mistress Elise with him, and my deceased mother's good time friend Anne showed up, and there is some tension between the two women because they are both in love with her father, and Cecile has her own ideas about who her father should be with and how they should live, and she is willing to destroy and manipulate anyone who stands in the way of her own ideas about how she should live. And so it is, a creepy and disturbing story, but also very fascinating to read about someone who so joyfully manipulates and destroys lives. And then I have started on the second novella in here, which is called A Certain Smile. Same author, of course. And so far it is about a young woman who is in a relationship with her boyfriend Bernard, and she actually finds, Bernard quite Don't mind me, I'm just noticing the part in my hair looks funny, but she finds Bernard, quite boring, and yet she is somehow a little bit in love with him. And she meets Bernard's uncle, Luc, who she is also attracted to, and Luc is married to Francois, but Luc asks her out to dinner and then proposes that they should have an affair together. And where I'm at, I'm not sure how she is, responding to that proposal, but it's interesting because she views this idea of an affair as, sort of a game to be played, and she's not really thinking about the consequences, about hurting people. The only consequence she really brings up is that by having an affair with Luc, she feels that she will be less in love with Bernard, as though the only reason to avoid an affair is because it will cause your love for another to wane. So it is something I'm looking forward to finishing. So I read that, and this weekend I am intending to read Le Bal by Irene Nemirovsky. Irene Nemirovsky. If you know this pronunciation, please help me out of my predicament. But this is a book that I picked up earlier this week at Black Squirrel Books, and it appears to be about a woman in 1930s Paris who has just risen up the ranks of society, and she is hosting a ball, but she doesn't want her 14-year-old daughter to, attend this ball and make her debut. And just from reading the back, I get the sense that perhaps the mother is jealous of her younger, beautiful daughter. But it's hard to say. Perhaps she just wants to protect her daughter. I will find out when I read this. So I'm going to read that. And I might also dig into, let's see, what have we got here? Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. That's The Razor's Edge, which I've already read. I might also dig into, nope, that's the Christmas one. These all look the same and they're out of order. I might dig into Then and Now, which is another W. Somerset Maugham novel, which I picked up last week in this beautiful edition, and which I want to read. I know nothing about this one, and there's no back cover or, inside notes to help me out. So I'm going into this novel the way that I like to go into a lot of older novels, which is by knowing nothing about it. So that will be my weekend reading. Now, I had a Twitter poll earlier today where I asked if people would at all be interested in seeing, an inventory or me taking stock of the books I own that are unread on all these shelves around me. Because I am in fact moving next month, and so I will be taking all the books off the shelves and boxing them up, and I thought it would be an interesting opportunity, to actually discover what my quote, TBR is. I don't usually consider myself to have a TBR because I don't keep a running list, but of course I guess my to be read is anything that is sitting on these shelves here that I haven't read. So if you would be interested in that, let me know in the comments below. Based on the Twitter poll, I'm probably going to do it anyway. But yeah, so stay tuned for that coming up. As well, let me know what you yourself are reading this weekend, or what you plan to read next week. I hope you all have a lovely weekend.